Would you use this feature if we added it? Or what do you think about this idea? If these are the types of questions you're asking in your user interviews, then you need to watch this video. But before that, if you just got hired as a product manager and you're wondering, what in the world do I do now? I'm actually here to help you out. My name is Jelena and I'm a VP of product in a remote startup, and I've been doing product for over 5 years. If your job currently feels like everything everywhere all at once, I created this channel to help you master product management with confidence and clarity every step of the way. So let's dive into this video. As a product manager, I'm sure everyone has told you that you need to collect user insights to inform your product decisions. And usually the most popular method for this is user interviews. While doing regular user interviews is a critical habit to have as a product manager, there's a big difference when it comes to the quality of these interviews, or rather the quality of questions that you can ask in those interviews. So what do I mean by this? Well, I mean that if your interviews with users are focused on your awesome ideas, or if you're asking your customers what they think about features that you want to build, you're not going to get the quality input from your customers that you're after. Why is this, you might be wondering? What could go wrong with asking people what they think about your ideas? Well, the main problem is that people either don't want to hurt your feelings, so they will say they like your ideas or your feature ideas, or they will say they will like something or they will use something, but they will actually act differently when put on the spot. I'm sure you heard of the infamous Sony Yellow Walkman experiment. The gist is that Sony was launching a new Walkman, and they had a focus group where they asked people if they like black Walkman or yellow Walkman. And of course, everybody thought the yellow Walkman was super cool, awesome color, like that was an amazing Walkman. Everybody wanted that one. However, when people were put on the spot, majority of people actually took home the black Walkman instead of the yellow Walkman. And this is what happens in most cases when we ask people what they think about our ideas. So instead of asking about unreliable opinions from our users, it's best to dig into the concrete facts about the users and their worldviews. But before I dive into 3 things to do to interview users well, I want to give credit where credit is due. Everything I'll be sharing today in this video and everything I know about user interviewing, I learned from the book called The Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. I highly recommend you read this book if you want to dig deeper into this topic. It completely changed how I do user interviews today. It really helped me out. So the thing number 1 to do is to talk about your user's life and not about your ideas. I think you caught this from the beginning of the video. So essentially talk about their life. Instead of getting approval for your cool ideas, dig deeper into the life of your users and the problem that your idea is supposed to solve for them. The main thing is you want to understand if a problem that your idea is supposed to solve is a problem at all and if it matters to them. Because if it's not an important problem, your idea is bound to fail. So essentially, by understanding their circumstance, you will de-riskify the idea, at least to some extent. When I interview users, I like to ask them to tell me what their day looks like. I like to know what matters to them in their life and what they're focused on. This helps me build some context about their circumstance. Then I like to dig deeper into the problem they face that my product is supposed to solve, a feature that I want to launch is supposed to solve. I ask them how big a problem, a specific thing is for them. This is important to understand because some problems just don't matter enough to be solved. To understand if a problem is important enough, I also like to ask how they deal with that specific problem today. If they found a workaround or some way to handle this problem by themselves, this is a good indicator that they try to find a solution to this problem, and then that is an indicator that that problem actually matters enough to them to be solved. However, if it happens that the user is asking for a specific feature, I like to turn the question back to them and understand why they want the specific feature and what would that feature actually do for them, how it would actually help them. And in this way, I try to understand what is the problem underlying this feature request instead of just going ahead and building the feature that they're describing to me. Our users are normally great at pointing out challenges and problems they face, but they're not product professionals, obviously, like in most cases, and therefore not the best at coming up with solutions. However, it's easier for people oftentimes to speak in terms of solutions, so it's okay to kind of hear out their idea, but dig deeper into the underlying problem. And before I move to the second thing, I want to ask you to like this video if you're finding it valuable. As a PM, you know how important such signals are for the algorithm training so that more people can get to see my videos. So I would really appreciate that. So hit that thumbs up button. And the second thing to do to interview users well is to ask about the specifics of the past instead of generic opinions about the future. I experienced this recently on my own skin. I was interviewed by a founder of a company I like and the founder who I like as well about a new feature that they launched. The feature they launched was pretty cool, but it had some shortcomings that basically needed to be figured out. And at some point he started telling me about one specific feature that would fix some of the remaining issues that I pointed out. And he basically asked me if I would use this feature. I was fully caught off guard because in theory I might use it, but it was really hard for me to tell. It took me a ton of effort actually to stop myself from telling him, oh yeah, that sounds great, and thus provide him with pretty much useless information. But in all honesty, I had no idea what I thought about his idea, whether I would really use it myself or not. I don't know, I was not in the situation. So instead of asking users about their generic and unreliable opinions about the future, we just cannot answer that. Rather focus on asking very specific things about their past behavior, because people are really good at telling you what they've done in the past. This means avoid asking if they would use or buy your product, if they like the feature that you're gonna build, but basically ask them how they solved that problem today. So how they handle that today. Understand their actions and steps they have actively taken in the past to solve that specific problem. Ask them to reflect on their past experience. And this is particularly important when it comes to price of a product. Don't ask how much would they pay for your product, because normally they don't know. Ask instead how much that problem is actually costing them right now, how much they're paying right now to have that problem solved. This will actually provide you with more accurate data on what they're actually willing to pay once you understand how much money they're losing today. My favorite thing to do when I interview customers is to ask them to walk me through the experience of basically the last time when they faced a specific challenge or a problem that my product or feature I'm building is supposed to actually solve. So I asked them about the specific things they did and the order of the steps they have taken. I'm here basically to understand their approach and how they think about this challenge and how they approach it. But most importantly, I try to understand the emotional state they're in when they're faced with such a challenge. This means that while they're describing the situation, I'm watching out for those emotional signals to basically help me kind of get the full picture of their situation that they're in. And speaking of challenges and user interviews, I'm doing speed user interviews at the moment. I'd love to get together with you for a 20-minute Zoom, just to understand what are your product challenges you're facing. So if you are interested in getting on a call with me for 20 minutes on a Zoom, you'll find my schedule and link in the description box down below. I really look so much forward to actually meeting you. And the last thing to do to interview users really well is to talk less and listen more. I remember the first interview I was doing as a junior PM. I would often start convincing people about how cool my idea was or how cool my product is, and I would often ramble just to fill those awkward silences. I know, it's really cringe. But as a PM, we are not doing user interviews to sell, but we're doing them to understand our customers and the problems they face and how we can help solve those problems for them. So when doing user interviews, keep the conversation focused on the customer and their experience. Let them talk. Don't interrupt them. Don't convince them. Don't by any means try to sell to them. Keep in mind that the more you're talking during the interview, the worse you're actually doing. Your only job during an interview is to ask good quality questions and to listen attentively, very, very attentively. And that's it. 3 things to do to interview customers really well is to do a lot more listening than talking, to focus on learning about the specifics of the past experiences of your users instead of collecting their opinions about the future and talking about your customer's life instead of your awesome ideas, even when your ideas are super cool and innovative. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you're finding it valuable, please give it a thumbs up so that more people can see my content. Here is another video somewhere on the screen that you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you are interested in product stuff. And until next video, keep creating user value.